Hey y'all, I'm back with another Legacy video, and today for the first time I'm going to be playing something quite different from what you're used to seeing me play. Obviously, Nadu was just banned, and I am in a position of having to find out what I'm going to do in Legacy going forward. Obviously, Cephalid Breakfast is still a possibility as like an Esper list or, implementing Stoneforge Mystic in place of Nadu. And I've already seen some people put up results with that. I know Larson got a couple trophies like the first day Nadu was banned. So it's super inspiring to see. However, I feel a little uninspired to be working hard to brew a list like that. I really will miss Nadu and Breakfast. I thought Nadu was a really cool card. And I'm going to struggle, I think, to recapture that exact feeling in Legacy. There really was no card just like Nadu. And that's perhaps what made that card a design mistake to some. So I'm trying to think about what it is I want to do in this new meta to feel good about my play, to enjoy myself, and hopefully have some success. And there are a lot of decks I'm seeing that I really wasn't seeing before. A lot of newness to everything. And for me, I figured having a really tight list of cards that is tried and true, and especially one with really generically good hate pieces like Thoughtseize to combat opponents' strategies, would really be good. Now, this list still plays a card that I like that is near the ban list, no doubt, and that is Tamiyo, Inquisitive Student. I also really do like Orcish Bowmasters as a card. I've always really enjoyed playing with that card. I used to even play it in Painter. I thought that was surprisingly good. So I'm happy to be trying those things. Another reason why I wanted to play this deck was because I actually do own quite a lot of these cards in paper. I own, the whole mana base. So this would be an easy deck for me personally to pivot into. Though one card I would have to get that would be expensive. I don't own any null rods in paper. I've always been an artifact user and abuser, so I've never needed a null rod in my collection. But if I wanted to play this deck, I'd have to pick up those null rods and nether goyfs and barrow goyfs and stuff like that. But this is a pretty sweet deck, good play patterns. The 4 Dazes are really sweet. Kaito is also a really sweet card that's fun to play with. It's really hard to interact with it. Kind of has a Nadu feel to it in a way when it hits the table. So I look forward to hopefully that hitting the deck, hitting the board in some of these games. And, I've been practicing with this in leagues, and it really is fun. I do like tempo decks. I've never really played Delver, but I've given it a few, leagues online, and I always enjoy watching other people play, even if they're just my opponent on the other side. I think that there's, it feels very classical Magic, and not so degenerate or oddball. It's good, clean Magic. It rewards good fundamentals, and hopefully I'll be able to put this on display in this league. I'm certainly not an expert when it comes to tempo strategies. I am, not the most experienced with them, but I've enjoyed it so far. Hopefully the league will go well. Thanks for watching. All right, I'm on the play for the first match, and I feel like without blue mana, this is a mulligan, sadly. The basic swamp, double Thoughtseize, Fatal Push, that's decent, but if I don't draw blue mana, it's going to be really tough. I'm not sure what my opponent could be on. Yeah, my instinct says to mull this. This is a lot better. Tamiyo backed by Daze. I'll just bottom this Underground Sea. Play off basics. My opponent keeps 7. All right, here's Tamiyo off Basic Island. Would love to Daze it if they force, but no interaction from my opponent. And let's see what they're up to. All right, a Tamiyo Mirror. I do think I'll attempt to Daze this Tamiyo. This could be wrong, but I don't really have a good answer for it. I don't have, they have a basic, so I can't Wasteland. And it's not like I'm looking to brainstorm this next turn, so that seemed like a good opportunity to just get that Daze out of the way. Hopefully they're not doing something too busted, though, that I will regret not having a daze for. Tamiyo, though, pretty busted. And I'll replay the island. I'll cast this Ponder. Would love to see like another daze, more action. But I have good mana. Yeah, I guess Force of Will is fine. If they do happen to have Thoughtseize, this is going to be pretty bad. But just using Force of Will to protect my Tamiyo will be pretty sweet, and I don't have to draw that other Wasteland. I can draw the Force of Will, play a Polluted Delta, crack the Clue. This looks like some sort of quite fair deck, though, if I had to guess. So this is probably going to be a tough matchup. All right, another Tamiyo. Looks like they're going to let me keep getting clues, though. And hopefully just being ahead in this Tamiyo game will be quite good for me. I doubt they're on a stifle plan or anything like that, so I don't think I need to fetch prematurely. Could be a back to basics deck, though, so I'm still happy to play on basics. Especially with the third land in hand in case I need a Murktide or something like that. Right, I have to hope to dodge like a swords. I probably will force, though. I don't know, it'll be interesting. I think they should do it now. Yeah. Interesting. They're like playing around Bowmaster. And the basic swamp is unexpected for sure. Makes me think this could be like ninjas or something like that. Tough call. Another land, not really very good. Aha. Let's see what you got going on there. If they force, I'll probably force back. Because if it is ninjas, then they can put something in a way that Force of Will can't interact with. Now I regret not playing my land first, though. Because if they force, it'd be nice to crack a clue in response in case I drew a daze or simply to have more information. Okay. Yeah, it's probably going to be that Kaito. Sadly, that means they can Bowmaster backed by Spell Pierce. The back to basics is not very scary. Yeah, it's just Kaito. If I take the Bowmaster, so I will draw my card now. Maybe they'll take the turn to go back to basics. Another Thoughtseize is nice. Maybe they will go back to basics. That would actually be pretty sweet for me. But probably not. I think they're going to be sensitive to daze. And if anything else, they could flip their Tamiyo next turn. So, yeah, this is an interesting one. So they get their clue. If they do go like crack the clue, cast ponder, I wonder if I'm supposed to force. Because if they flip the Tamiyo, that is pretty bad for me. Going ponder first, I think I'm going to force the ponder, weird as it is. Yeah, I just feel like I'm not really ready to deal with the flipped Tamiyo. This will give them Bowmaster unless they do something else right now. Okay, well that's a way to play around. So I can Thoughtseize, cast Bowmaster, or cast Brainstorm. So I think I want to play the land so that I can also crack the clue. And this should happen post-combat. So I'll play the land, go to combat, attack with Tamiyo, Thoughtseize. They're very likely here to brainstorm, or to, okay, they're just letting me take their Orcish Bowmasters? That's kind of crazy to me. Honestly, that play was pretty shocking that they let that go through. So their hand is Force of Will, Spell Pierce, Dress Down, back to basics. So I could cast Brainstorm right now. Next turn I could play around Spell Pierce. I think I'm just going to crack a clue. Ooh, push is nice. Sadly, I would have to crack this fetch land, which I'm not really eager to do. But I do like, while they are tapped out of Spell Pierce, killing this Tamiyo. And back to basics kind of sucks, but not that bad, right? Because I can play pretty well off those two basics. If they force this, that'd be pretty amazing. Pitching the dress down. Okay. Sure. Yeah, that's fine. And they get to draw a card. So if they draw a land, they can have Spell Pierce and back to basics, but I think just flipping this Tamiyo. Yeah, you got it back to basics. So Spell Pierce and an unknown card. So actually, if I want to cast the Brainstorm this turn, go to combat. I guess I will play the Wasteland out. This is going to kind of Brainstorm lock me, but I'll still get to crack a clue, and that's going to help to alleviate the Brainstorm lock. But flipping Tamiyo right now on this board feels really good. They can flip their Tamiyo next turn. And if they Spell Pierce this, they're just tapping down my Wasteland. Ooh, was it a removal spell? That's a bummer. Alright, well I will draw a card in response. Maybe it's a Daze. Well, I like that draw. But that stinks. Okay. These are all good cards. I'll put the Murktide on bottom, put the Bowmasters there. If they do play Thoughtseize, I would prefer they not really take any of the good cards. I'd be a little surprised if they didn't just go crack the clue twice, flip Tamiyo, but let's see. Looks like that's what's happening here. Yep. Well, I like just going for a Bowmaster right now. Put the damage on the Tamiyo. They might be brainstorming here. Sure, seems good. Alright, still forcing the Bowmaster. Interesting. Lorien Reveal. Pretty good. And picking up Lorien Reveal. If they don't have Force of Will, that means that I can just drop this Murktide. I was worried about them picking up Murderous Cut, but that no longer seems to be something I should be concerned about. And I'm just going to go for the biggest Murktide that I can. Hopefully this will answer the Tamiyo, and then be something they have to contend with. They could just have another Murderous Cut. Of course, they're going to get to draw plenty more cards. Yeah, Thoughtseize, so I can have 6 here. Snapcaster. Tragic. Well, I think I have to cast this Brainstorm. I have to find some action. Daze was a pretty bad draw. Yeah, that's all looking really bad, honestly. I think I'm ready to scoop this up. They've stabilized. I have no pressure on that Tamiyo. So this is the sort of matchup that I feel like their deck was built to beat my deck, which is frustrating. But and that's the thing with these tempo decks, is they are pretty strong. And so you can bet there's going to be decks that are really designed to stop them. On the play, I don't know, maybe I don't need these Force and Negations. Maybe it's just 2 Barrowglyphs in, 2 Forces out. Daze probably pretty good. I'll leave the Forces in. I'll take out 2 Wastelands. Try that. I have no clue if that's correct. I'm definitely still figuring out how to sideboard with this deck. Alright, I'll take play. Yeah, this seems good. This seems like a perfect hand, honestly. Start with the Thoughtseize. Would love to clip a Tamiyo. Let's see. So they're going to get to shred my hand, but they only have 1 land. Kind of awkward. I'll just take Fatal Push. Like, if they don't draw a land, it's going to be pretty rough for them if they go Prismatic Vista Swamp. But it looks like that's what's happening. Sure, they're going to take the Bowmaster. It'd be a shame to let them take the Barrowglyph too. Okay, they took the Barrowglyph, so they're going to let me have Bowmaster. Drawn in the lock, mana value less than or equal to the number of cards in its graveyard. So I wonder if that means they already have the land, or if that's just the plan. No matter what, though, I like just investing in Orcish Bowmasters right now. If it hits the drown in the lock, it's fine. And if they're missing on lands, then I'm pushing damage. And now, if they did miss on a land and they thought Thoughtseize, like these cards are fairly interchangeable. Ah, Fatal Push, sure. Okay, but no land. Alright, having drawn another land, I like Brainstorm. Pretty bad. And I will cast Ponder now off an Underground Sea. No. Oh boy. Well, kind of sucks here. Yep, they're going to take Ponder. Another land. Well, as soon as they draw the land, they're heavily favored. Daze. Daze is tempting, but I need action. There we go. Just do this right now. This doubles my clock as well. Still, an island means they could drown in the lock the Bowmaster. I think I was supposed to play that land there, so my bad. But they kept a really greedy one-lander. Another land. At least I have Force of Will now. And I think they would have forced the Bowmaster if they had it, so happy to hardcast. And then benefit of that other land is it can still be my Surveil land. I'm gonna go to clean up. Sweet. I'm not gonna tap out a Force of Will, so alright. I like that. That puts a lethal threat on through a removal spell. So I'll play a land. I'll play Nethergoyf. They know the last card that I have is Force of Will too. So let's see. Sweet. Yeah, I think the benefit of playing a tempo deck like this is it really punishes greedy keeps by people. Like you really have to keep a really sound hand of Magic cards, and if you don't, you have to get very lucky. And their hand I don't think was really good enough. I guess that's the dilemma I had in the first game, right? Remember my first 7 was like basic swamp, Thoughtseize, push, and I was tempted to keep it, but then you have to deal with the top of your deck in a deck that's supposed to be able to manipulate the top of your deck. So I'm gonna bring in 2 Force of Negation, bring out 2 Daze. It doesn't seem like they're on red for Hydroblast. I don't think Surgical is really where I want to be. So yeah, I'll run it like this. I could see like going up Engineered Explosives for like extra Tameo removal, but I feel like this is more likely to get me than it is to get them, and they don't have any like 0 drops or anything like that, so I don't know. That's an interesting decision on that card. Yeah, sure. We'll keep. Alright, dodge the turn 1 Tameo. That was what this hand would have been weak to, so I'll Thoughtseize them and assess from there. My hand's not particularly weak to Thoughtseize. Like they could take the Ponder, they could take the Nethergoyf. They probably wouldn't take Kaito. If I can get that Kaito down, that should be the game, I imagine. They could have like an Edict or something like that. All right, no shuffle. Third land, really nice. So turn 3 Kaito is in the cards. I will play out the basic first, though next turn could be like get Underground Sea so I can go Thoughtseize into Nethergoyf. Okay, so they have a Barrowgoyf, a Dress Down, a Borrower, and a Push. So I think I want to take the... Man, the Borrower will be able to bounce the Kaito. I think I want to take the Barrowgoyf, and then next turn I can go Thoughtseize the Fatal Push, play Nethergoyf. Yeah, I think I just want this Barrowgoyf out of here. That's how I lose the game. If my Nethergoyf gets pushed, we play on. Okay. Another land, not terrible. That does mean I can cast Kaito. Another Barrowgoyf. Yeah, I can't give them a Barrowgoyf, unfortunately. And with that, so another hand is those 4 cards. I don't know. Am I just supposed to play this Nethergoyf out to get pushed? I like potentially going, like, finding another threat off the Ponder. While I know they don't have Bowmaster or anything like that. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Tough decision. So I know I want Tamu. I'm gonna guess this Daze is losing its mileage. I'll put the Thoughtseize in hand and draw a Tameo next turn. I gotta watch out for my clock. This is definitely a slower deck than what I'm used to playing, so I have to be mindful of that. So I think it's Thoughtseize number 3. I have to be getting pretty annoyed with that. And thankfully this is not a deck that's really gonna pressure my life total very much. Alright, back to basics, not very threatening. I'll take the Fatal Push, so they have no removal. My opponent says 8 more Thoughtseize and you lose. Good thing I do play 11 copies of Thoughtseize. So now the threats come out. Kaito will be great. They could bounce the Kaito like before I get to activate it. But I think it's more likely now that I've played this out that they invest in a back to basics. I don't know, we'll see. So their hand is all these blue cards. Petty Theft right away. Yeah, that's fine. They can't block the Nethergoyf with Brazen Borrower. So I like the prospect of getting down Kaito, and I'm super happy that this is out of the way before it could target Kaito. Just have to hope to dodge a Thoughtseize. But even, you know, I just have 2 card advantage engines. Kaito is definitely better at this point. Opponent did not shuffle. Force of Will. I like that. Here comes Kaito. All right, just go ahead and 0 to the bottom, to the top. I'll play on Underground Sea and replay the Nethergoyf. I might want to pitch the Tameo to Force of Will. Cling to Dust something is absolutely fine. Don't think that's going to be a particularly strong card for them. So I really like my position here. I really hope to dodge Thoughtseize yet again. But Bowmaster could like ping down the Brazen Borrower. I'm drawing 2 cards a turn. Really like my position. And plenty of time, assuming that this game plan takes me to the finish line. Ooh, you have a Bowmaster. Not for long, unfortunately. But that does mean that I can't ping down the Borrower. I'm going to have to go after this Bowmaster specifically. I will go to combat first. So they could have like 1 piece of counter magic. I still know these 2 cards. I suppose I could have done it in combat, but I was going to fight over the Bowmaster. I don't know if I have an instant in the yard, though. I don't. So I did miss a point of damage there by not going in combat. If there was something to force over, but since there's not, would have amounted to about the same. Yeah, those are both going to the top, so hopefully I'm clicking through this correctly. Yep. I think now I can play out Tameo. Have to dodge something like a Toxic Deluge, but even that wouldn't kill Kaito. So I think I've turned the corner successfully in this one. All right, no attacks. Would have been a weird attack, but could have, you know, signaled something or a bluff. Okay, so I have an interesting decision regarding this Brazen Borrower. If I'm gonna force that or what. I could also just like plus the Kaito. I'm gonna start by going to combat and attacking with all of these things. I don't think it's worth holding back Tameo. Dress down. If I force dress down, so this will keep my Kaito from being able to activate, right? Yeah, I can't force that. Now they're tapped out of the Brazen Borrower, so it's fine. If this means they get to like brainstorm or something, so be it. That is pretty sweet for them. Yeah. And yeah, I don't get to activate Kaito. I do get to drop a Barrowgoyf though. So you killed 1 Goyf, but here comes another one. This could be like a brainstorm or something. Yeah. Well, they're making the most out of this dress down. I will play out the land too, because that represents the clue. So they'll have 4 cards. If they force a will the Barrowgoyf, they'll have 2 cards. I think that brainstorm was more just about getting around Bowmaster. So this is I think looking over, fetching here is kind of scary on their part. I don't know what sort of 4-drop they might have. Maybe it's just back to... Ooh, they have a Kaito. I'm going to draw a card. I don't think I even have to force this Kaito. It just has to minus, and then I'm gonna get to kill it. But let's see. Yeah. They could 0 now that I've paid a life. This is fine. I think I'm ahead enough. Yeah, I figured they would just tap the Barrowgoyf, which means I could Fatal Push this and then swing for lethal on Kaito right away and still do a damage to them. I could also flip my Tamiyo. That's pretty sweet. So I'll start by pushing. I'll do these 2 at Kaito, these 2 face. Definitely having some lag on my Magic Online, which is very frustrating in this long match. But with 8 minutes left, hopefully everything goes as planned. Yep, so no more Kaito. They've lost life. I'm holding a Force of Will. Don't think I need either of these cards. Another Bowmaster. I'm just going to play that now. Put them to 2. My Barrowgoyf is a 6/7, which will make all the middle school kids happy. And I'll just flip this Tamiyo. Yeah, sweet. I'll just put these cards back. I'll play the Nethergoyf. It's another lethal attacker, and then I just hold up Force of Will. And even if they had something like Toxic Deluge now, they couldn't cast it. So this looks pretty wrapped up. Murderous Cut on a single Bowmaster. That's fine. If they have something like Ponder, yeah. Yeah, so they'll go to 1. Still holding that back to base. Well, they could have brainstormed it away. Although I don't think they had a fetch land, so it's probably in the mix somewhere. And gets them a ping. They didn't shuffle. I mean, I just don't think there's anything they could draw at this point. There's now 4 lethal attackers. Can't crack that fetch land. Do I have a Force of Will in my graveyard? I'll just Thoughtseize. Show me what you're working with. This feels kind of useless here. Okay, they got a Bowmaster. I'll force that. They can't force back. They have 1 card. This is just the game. Yeah, good game. Well, that one felt pretty sweet. I didn't feel favored there, but was able to draw pretty hot in the post board. I'm on the play. Second match. Risky, but I'll keep. I'll start with Tamiyo. Hopefully I won't get wastelanded. I know I've played my opponent plenty of times. I want to say some sort of stompy deck is what I'm predicting, but I could be totally wrong. Y'all notice I changed my avatar on Magic Online to this sweet Tezzeret Cruel Captain one. Yeah, I think that one looks really cool. The colors are really nice. And now that Nadu's banned, I'm just into like a new a new look, a new aesthetic. So thought that would look cool. Alright, here's Tammy. No wasteland, please. My opponent says sorry about Nadu. And then they say, but not sorry. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way. I think that Nadu being banned was fairly uncontroversial, except to those who really knew him well, because Nadu was a really nice guy. Alright, what the heck? Tangle Pool Bridge. Alright, so it's an artifact land, so maybe some sort of like affinity or something. I'm happy to be holding this Force of Will at this moment. All right, well, I'm definitely gonna try to flip this Tamiyo. I hope to not get brainstorm locked. But even if I do, I have those ponders. Sweet. I think with all of the ponders, I don't know if I'm gonna really want the push. I don't know if I'm gonna want Bowmaster. I'm just gonna put back push and ponder. And I'm gonna rely on this double Force of Will to get this Tamiyo to her ultimate. And Bowmaster could be like a chump blocker along the way. It could be really meaningful interaction. We'll see. I'm very much in the dark about what my opponent is doing. I just know that I can't go after Wastelands. I can't snap those off too hastily in this matchup. Seems like an appropriate time to surveil. Get sewers. Another brainstorm, not bad, but not necessary. If I really want to brainstorm, I have another brainstorm. Okay, I like the additional land. I'll drop the land. I'll hold off on the ponders. I'm preserving those as blue cards for Force of Will. I think that for people who are fairly new to Legacy, it can be so tempting to fire off cantrips when you really don't need to. Impulse, all right. Yeah, that's fine. I now predict I am playing against Omni-Tell. And now I feel like it's coming together what I know this player to play. Yeah, like a show and tell player. That's kind of stompy. Ancient Tombs, big guy coming in early. It's basically the same thing, right? I don't know if Impulse means that they might be on something like Chalice of the Void. I would certainly let a Chalice resolve. Oh, please just cast Ponder. Show and tell, I cannot let this resolve. Hopefully this is not Veil plus. Of course they had the Veil. Sweet. I actually think it's more important to invest in this clue. Oh, what a great draw. Sewers. Don't need another Bowmaster. And now I don't even have to minus or plus the Tamiyo or take any action until I see what's going on over here. If they force this Thoughtseize, like there is a pause here, I just scoop. Well, it's just some sort of Omni-Tell deck. If there's some exact flavor, I just don't know if that artifact land is like the new tech, if there's anything to be really gained by that information. I don't have a ton for this matchup, which means I assume in this fairly stock list that I only ever so slightly tweaked by adding some thought, like another Thoughtseize to it. I feel like this is probably just a pretty good matchup between the Wastelands, the Thoughtseizes, the Forces. It's got to be pretty tough for them to get what they need to going. That being said, by cutting the fatal pushes, I still have 2 slots. I don't know if Null Rod is a slot. I'll just put, it looks like I accidentally clicked submit. There's like some lag on this. That's kind of frustrating. I could also see Consign being good, but I'm not too sure. So I'll just be as threatening as I can to try to get the game over with. I don't think Hydroblast is good in this exact matchup. Didn't seem like they had red for sneak attack. Don't think Null Rod hits enough. They could be a one-ring deck. They did have that artifact land. I don't know. Maybe on the play I could see Null Rod. I'm just gonna hope my suite of counterspells and hand disruption ruins their day. Oh, that is certainly a mulligan. It's not showing me if my opponent mulliganed or not. Sort of weird. I'm just gonna. I mean, I have to mulligan this, but weird that it doesn't say. Did they start the game on the draw or something? Am I crazy? I'll keep this. I'll bottom the Barrogoyf. They did start on the draw. Weird. Alright, just playing a fetch land and saying go seems fine. I need to find my next land drop, and okay, well now I don't need to find my next land drop, but I nevertheless like the pre-combat Ponder to push damage. Yeah, these cards are fine. That will help me get to a Kaito sooner. So I'll draw the island. I'll play the island. And now instead of Force of Will pitching Kaito, I like Force of Will pitching Ponder, especially since I'm drawing another one next turn. Still have to hope that they don't have too explosive a start here, which it looks like that's not happening. I think they'd be unlikely to really shove something dramatic into the blue-black tempo deck after sideboarding. I'll fetch now. And I will get a basic swamp for two reasons. One, I don't know if they do have any sort of mana denial. They could have something like Carpet of Flowers, though. All right, I would love to see another Force in these two cards. That's a tempting one, but I think with Kaito down, I just want to push for counter spells. Brazen Borrower was actually a pretty nice pickup. If they like show and tell Emrakul or something like that. Really hope this is just like a brainstorm. Yeah, obviously that's still good for them, but it seems like they're maybe hurting for mana a little bit, or something is missing for sure. Like they're not ready to just send it. And with the Kaito pushing damage and drawing 2 cards a turn, I like that. I would love for Kaito to find a Thoughtseize, but between the Ponder and the Kaito next turn, I'm going to see a lot of cards. They appear to be going to clean up. Interesting. So it's definitely struggling for mana. Gotta watch out for Veil of Summer, though, if I Thoughtseize. They might be tempted, though, to discard Veil of Summer if they have it in hand, because the thought of being able to combo with Veil backup feels really far-fetched at this point. Okay, discarding Omniscience. Well, I'm ultimately glad to see Omniscience no longer in my opponent's hand. Murktide was a cool pickup. That's probably better than Nethergoyf, but I don't know. I'll see. I'll see what this Surveil has in store. I definitely don't want Wasteland. I do think the Thoughtseize is risky, but probably good. So I'm going to play this Ponder. Ooh, Daze. That was like exactly what I was looking for. Now I'm going to Thoughtseize. Now if they Veil, I Daze it. And we can have a huge fight over this. I can force. And I think you fight over this. I think it's Force Pitch Ponder. I kind of wish I had that Tameo in hand. The Force of Will is forcing the Daze. I will force the Veil, pitching Ponder. Alright, they just scoop it up. Sweet. Yeah, I feel like decks like that get picked apart by the tempo decks with just all the cards that keep you honest. So it definitely seems like my opponent stumbled a bit in game 2. But that's the whole point of tempo, is your opponent stumbles, you capitalize. So anyway, on to the next one. All right, I'm on the play again in match 3. Yeah, hand's fine. Not the best hand. It would be nice to have a threat, but I can keep my opponent pretty honest with whatever it is they're doing. This hand would be really bad against something like the Mirror. My opponent's avatar is making me reminisce on when Minsk and Boo was like a really big deal in Legacy. That was a brief time, and I guess it was really Orcish Bowmasters that ended that Planeswalker's career. That was a really annoying card to play against, just recurring the Boo each turn. And being able to draw like 4 cards or 7 cards if you waited a turn. It's crazy. Okay, interesting. I guess I'll just drop the Sewers. Goyf, yeah, I like a threat. Alright, opponent has Hedge Maze. Well, it's not Cephalid Breakfast. The days of Cephalid Breakfast being a green deck are gone. Okay, so I like Wastelanding here. I don't know which one is more important to Wasteland, but I'm just gonna assume it's the black. So if they have a Bowmaster here, that'll bait that out, and then I can daze that. Predictable. So I floated black, cast the daze. If they force this, that'd be amazing. I would certainly daze again. Okay. Play out my Goyf. And still holding up another daze is pretty nice. So this could be like a Beanstalk deck. That seems like the type of deck that's going to wreck me. I don't know if that's truly an atrocious matchup or not, but my skill level at this deck would certainly be a tough one. Now, I did give them a window to remove this without having to worry about days, or cast something without having to worry about days. I don't think I'm looking for another land here. So I'll do this pre-combat. They know about it already. This could push damage. Oh, I do like Ponder, though, so I'll keep that. They could Bowmaster here to try to kill it, but they don't. Okay, Brainstorm pretty good. And my opponent fetches again. Let's see if they go for a basic. Probably not, though. I'm going to try to take out my Goyf. Nope. All right, well, easiest days of my life. And I'll force pitch the Murktide over this. This is like, yeah. The Murktide Regent and Nether Goyf has a bit of tension to it. So I'm kind of happy to be able to pitch the Murktide. All right, so I'm going to do all this pre-combat. I'm going to play this first. My hand's fine. I would really like to see like a Kaito or an Orcish Bowmasters, another Nether Goyf. Yeah, this is all fine. Wasteland also would have been a really nice card to find. But now I'll probably force pitch the Tamiyo and keep the Murktide as a hedge against Nether Goyf getting removed. Okay, no play. I like that. I like that they especially didn't have a land, because I would have not liked to have to worry about endurance. So I'm going to hold up this Bowmaster at least through their turn. They do have a play here. If it's Bowmaster, they don't have enough damage to kill the Nether Goyf. I'm going to allow this. And yeah, if they want to chump here, that's fine. With them tapped out, I definitely will go ahead and deploy my Bowmaster. And now their guy's gone. I still have another Goyf. I could play the Tamiyo here, but I still think the Tamiyo is my pitch card to Force a Will. It would be nice to have a draw engine. All right, well, now I have to worry about endurance, but at least I have the Fatal Push and Force a Will. And there's that other Nether Goyf. I'll hold back the Orcish Bowmaster and attack like this, and we'll just have to have a firefight if they have an endurance, which it looks like they do. Yeah, this is sad. I thought about doing a pre-combat Murktide. I think I'm going to let this resolve. Crack Polluted Delta. Underground Sea. Fatal Push this. Okay, that worked. And now I definitely think it's Force Pitch Murktide. So I'm going to invest in this Nether Goyf. And I'm going to invest in this Tamiyo. And hopefully this pressure with them at 9 life is going to get the job done. And with the Bowmaster in play and the amount of damage I'm pushing, I really don't know if they have the resources to kill the Tamiyo. Now, if they have their own Orcish Bowmaster here, that's still pretty good for them. And they do. I think this is Force a Will here. And I'm F6. They probably have Force a Will. Yeah. Well, this is pretty good for them. Pitching an Uro. I'm glad to see Uro go. I'm going to lose my own Bowmaster. That will give another +1/+1 to my Nether Goyfs. So they're kind of in a position where they're going to need to block. Day's not great. So they also, okay, there was a bit of lag, but they abrupt decayed my Tamiyo. I guess I hold back the 1/1 for now. Okay, so they go to 5 life. I have lethal on board. They pitched their arrow, but definitely still precarious here. Like a big Murktide or something like that would be great for them. An endurance would be amazing for them. Okay, fatal push. So I can daze and that would get me revolt and then fatal push something if I have to. I'm just gonna swing out. Dress down. So that's gonna make these 0/1s. I think I'll push this in response with 1 card in hand. So they go to 4 life. And I'll pass. They might have a Bowmaster. Okay, I'm happy to see a land. Even a single, like, big Murktide or something like that would be fine. Witherbloom command, so target player loses 2, they gain 2, and a creature gets -3/-1. Yeah, it's fine. So if they have removal, they get to stay alive. Murderous cut one of them. If I daze, I think I like daze because putting a surveil into my hand could help to push damage and just give me better selection. It also prices them into cracking this fetch land and paying a life. Mystic Sanctuary, though, is pretty good. It does mean they can't get Murderous cut back, but they could probably get, yeah, Abrupt Decay. That's fine. So that's going to work out well for them, except for the fact that I do get to recur these guys. Ponder is nice. Do I have a sorcery in the yard? I don't think I do. Yeah, no sorcery. So let's do it like this. That's another lethal threat, so that's probably good. Now I'll cast Ponder. I don't know what the holdup is here. Yeah, another Nether Coif. Yeah, so that's game right there, right? So I put them to 1 by not misclicking here. And then they're drawing Abrupt Decay, and I have a second Goif. And I can just F6 if they don't scoop. Yep. Awesome. All right, well, this seems like a deck where I just want the maximum amount of threats. I could see Surgical being good as Uro removal. I could see Force of Negation being good against Witherbloom Command and against Up the Beanstalk itself. I don't think anything else is really that good. I'll get rid of the Dazes. Push, not amazing, but I bet they do run Tamiyo. Maybe I'll go down to 3 push. Maybe I only want 1 surgical. 2 surgical seems a bit much. And I'll try this. I might want the Dazes back in on the play instead of Force of Negation. Like 2 Dazes, something like that. Alright, this hand seems good. I'll keep. I assume they run Wasteland because they had Witherbloom command. But the nice thing about the deck that wants to put a turn 2 banger into play is Thoughtseize on the draw is still pretty good. And I especially like that second Thoughtseize. I hope they don't have Veil of Summer. I might have to force over that. All right, that just goes through. Not a very threatening hand. I'll take the Bowmaster. So that is a very solid hand, though. And those are the sorts of hands that are tough to beat. And I think their mana is good enough they can afford to surveil here. Though they didn't. Okay, play out a Trop. Don't know if I really like Thoughtseizing again right away. Surgical's pretty nice. Play the Sewers. Don't think Wasteland is going to be good against their mana. I'll Thoughtseize. Yeah, why not? Edict. Just take the Endurance. So 2 lands, 2 cards that I'm not particularly worried about. My 1 of Surgical has shown up. I'll try to save that for Uro, though it is also tempting to just go after the Bowmaster. Okay, they played a land I didn't know about, so I still have perfect information about their hand. Barrowglyph. Okay, well, I have the force for the Edict, and then I can just start pummeling them. They might have to dress down one if they're going to do it right now. Yeah, well, you had to know I wasn't going to let that happen, right? Now the Goyf's even bigger. They played another land out I didn't know about, so I still have perfect information. Bowmaster, an amazing pickup. This could just be an emergency dress down, which I'm totally fine with. Kind of a time wonk, but it's fine. They really should surveil. Brainstorm now is smart. I think Magic Online is just being very laggy right now in general, because it looks like my opponent is also like taking a long time to pass priority for stuff. I know I've seen sometimes like it looks like their clock is going, but then you see your clock went a whole bunch. I hope it's not that sort of situation, but it doesn't appear to be. All right, well, they like their cards enough to... I'm going to assume, well, they still had a land. Got a 5-drop. Mystic Sanctuary, get back. Edict, I guess. This looks like a nice surgical right here. Because if they can't answer the Barrowglyph, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. I'm very happy to see what their hand is, too. That Murktide's really good. Yeah, so they do get to ponder here, unfortunately, since they have the Bowmaster. My hope is that they play out the Bowmaster to chump. And as of right now, they only have 2 instants and sorceries, so the Murktide would just be a 5/5. Now it's possible... Now I do have instants and sorceries, but they could conceivably like shrink my Barrowglyph. They did not shuffle. I'll play out the land. I'm really hoping they go for a Bowmaster here. Yeah. So now I will go for my own Bowmaster now, because this means that they, well, it doesn't really mean anything, because they still want to block with this thing, and I definitely want to hit their Bowmaster. This seems like a fine time to Fatal Push the Bowmaster. This damage can go on the Barrowglyph, and then they'll block. Yeah, that Veil of Summer was quite good. And now dropping the Murktide is also quite good, if they're smart enough to do it in a way that tussles with the Goyf. Like, they might also now with Veil have enough to make it, like they can make it a 6/6, and they could possibly shrink my Goyf to a 4/5. I still think I'm allowed to just swing with the Goyf and make them trade. Okay, and a Tamiyo. So I still have a Surveil, so I definitely want to use that. Don't want Force of Will. And I'm going to attack with Barrowglyph. Like, this is going to win the race with the Murktide if they don't block. And if they do block, then I like my position quite a bit from here. Okay, trading. Cool. If I do lose this game, I might look back on that surgical for the Edict being like a little aggressive. All right, well, Beanstalk into a Bowmaster is not the worst. They will get to flip this Tamiyo if they choose. And I think just in general, they need to try to make something happen here. Yeah, I think they're smart to not flip the Tamiyo. Okay, well, I'll play the land out. It represents hardcast Force of Will. I don't know, my opponent might be vaguely favored from here. Like, the Bowmaster will have to be like quite punishing against what it is they're trying to do. Like, eventually this 3/3, you know, could turn into something pretty devastating. All right, my opponent maybe experienced some pretty bad lag there, or was otherwise thinking about some decision for a long time, because they lost a lot of time on their clock. Well, this is a Force of Will. and I'll F6. Opponent had a Murktide. Yeah, that's really good, unfortunately. Force of Negation doesn't look great. Wow, the Murktide's actually just a 3/3? Kind of incredible. Force of Negation was not what I was looking for, but yeah, I didn't notice that the Murktide was a 3/3. Okay, this puts my attack next turn to lethal. I'm holding Force of Negation. Another land was not what they were looking for, I have no doubt. Brainstorming into the Bowmaster is totally fine. Really interesting decision here about whether to go after the Tamiyo. I could also go after the Murktide. So I could kill the Murktide. This would get blown out by like another Mystic Sanctuary. Then they wouldn't have a blocker for my lethal attacker, plus I have Force of Negation. I think I like just killing the Murktide. So please don't have Mystic Sanctuary. Wow, imagine killing him. Killing a Murktide with Orcish Bowmaster triggers. Just not the best Murktide there. So now a plus here is totally irrelevant. Like, it's all about, do their 2 cards answer the 8/8? Okay, so I'm just going to right now Force of Negation with the Beanstalk trigger on the stack. So now if their last card plus the Beanstalk draw isn't what they're looking for, they're dead. If it is, they've kind of stabilized. Brainstorm in response. So this is just them dead right here. Like, now they have to have like a Fatal Push right now so that they don't get a Bowmaster trigger on this draw. So these are definitely going to face. I'm not really worried about the Tamiyo. All right, can you kill my Bowmaster right now? Okay, so that's good. And now they can't spend a removal spell on the 11/11, so they have to have... So they're just dead right now. Cool. Exaxes, sweet. Awesome. Good games. That was another fun one. Yeah, these batches have been really sweet so far. Been enjoying it. Right, I'm on the draw. Pretty nice hand here. Got a threat, a Wastelanding and Dazing. This is like when you picture yourself playing against a Delver or Tempo opponent. This is like the exact hand that you picture them having. My opponent says they're a huge fan. Wow, amazing. Yeah, I wonder what they're gonna think I'm on. Probably breakfast. Probably just like trying to make it work. Breakfast. If they're on breakfast, I think they're gonna have a hard time here. Oh, not what I wanted to see. Nevertheless, I would be so happy to just wasteland that. And I think I have to wasteland this because if they have like Cavern of Souls next turn, it's going to be pretty rough. And really against Eldrazi, I just want to keep their creatures off the board. And yes, I would love to daze a Chalice if they are able to, like with an Ancient Tomb. But I can always force a will pitching Daze or pitching Kaito or something. Sure, that's fine. It's a random 2/2. Yeah, I actually think I like that play. This was pretty weak from them, so there's probably some mana issues and maybe, or maybe not, but maybe they just still have something good in hand. So let's see. Oh, they have this Obligator card. I played against this recently. Yeah, you gain control of something. This spell, if you do, you gain control. So, okay. So that costs a lot of mana. They got the commands, another Battle Mage, which isn't really too good. This is just a 3/1 haste. I think I like getting rid of the command. Not too worried about the Obligator. Its kicker cost is very far away. Okay, there's that mountain. If I were them, I would probably just play the Battle Mage again. That's nice. Unfortunately, Dazing Kozilek's command sets me back farther from Kaito, though Kaito's not great into this board. And it was probably correct, assuming that they're going to command, it was probably correct to play Underground Sea rather than Polluted Delta, because with this Brainstorm, the fetch land obviously would have been really nice, but I guess I just like the idea of playing on basics and getting a basic island here. Let's see if they command into the daze. Looks like they're going to, and I'm definitely going to daze this. And that'll make my Goyf even bigger. Don't think I need a brainstorm here. I'll be sad if they drop a chalice. Yeah, I'm just gonna let this mana go unused. I don't think it's worth the risk. And they're just drawing stuff off the top. Obviously, this is a deck that plays a lot of bombs, like Glaring Fleshraker. I think this could get too out of hand. So I don't know when this Kaito is going to be relevant. I'm just going to pitch the Kaito very far away from it. Another force is really nice. I think I'm stuck here. I gotta hold back. It looks like they're just saying go. Would love a blue card. Push. Okay. Now I think I can swing. And I do think it's worth the risk to brainstorm here. Like if they're just passing the turn each time. And those are pretty nice. I'll put one Bowmaster back. Followed by push. I'll play Underground Sea. And this Bowmaster could be a nice threat. Their life total is going to start getting low if they tap this tomb a whole bunch. Okay, well that's a really nice daze there. Ooh, they can pay for the daze. Gross. But I do get to hit them to 8. I think I'm going to attack with maybe everything here. So if they block the Bowmaster, I get to push the Fleshraker. I mean, if they block anything. If they try to double block the Nethergoyf, that's just going to be a super blowout. And I don't think Bowmaster is really that good. It's kind of just a 1-1 at this point. This double block would suck, though. I'll just swing with the Nethergoyf for this turn. I'll play out the Underground Sea, as that could be Wastelanded. But sadly, the Fleshraker is going to produce a lot of good chump blockers. Their life total is quite low, though. Okay, it's pretty good. If they kick Wastegate Battle Mage, like to bounce Nethergoyf, then I get Revolt. Looks like they're just playing it, and no attacks. I think I send in with everything here. I think between the push, the Bowmaster ping, and +1/+1 here, this is going to work out really nicely. Okay, so Orcish Bowmasters, ping this guy, grow this guy. These will all trade. Goyf becomes a 4/5. Revolt is triggered. Push this. So they have that Obligator that right now they can't kick, but might have to cast as a chump blocker. And they have 2 unknown cards. I'm functionally hellbent. If they tap the tomb, Nethergoyf is a lethal attacker. If they do nothing, it's also not very good for them. I guess this not profile picture, I can't think of the word here. This their thing is Quantum Riddler. Very weird looking. Okay, so they did tap that. They're at 3. They got 1 card left. I think I attack with both, because they have to block Goyf. They go to 2. Ancient Tomb switched off. I don't need to cast this Ponder, just Force of Will here should get the job done. Awesome. Yeah, that was a close one. Especially when that Fleshraker hit the table, that could have gone either way. All right, well, this feels like a good matchup for Consign to Memory. Possibly Force of Negation over Daze to answer Chalice, and Barrowgoyf seems great. So I think Daze goes. I think Tamiyo goes. Don't think they had enough artifacts to justify bringing in Null Rod. Yeah, I think that's pretty clean right there. Could bring Dazes back in on the play. This hand is kind of heartbreaking. If they have a Chalice turn 1, I am so in trouble. If they don't, I have things I can do. Wasteland can be the thing that bridges that as well. So let's see. Okay, opponent keeps 6 cards in hand. Turn 1 Cavern. Okay. And passing. I think I have to make sure I have black mana rather than wastelanding the Cavern. And it's not like I have a counterspell anyway. I could even find a counterspell for a Chalice. So I would love to see like Force of Will, Polluted Delta. I will settle for the Polluted Delta. Now, even if they do have Chalice, I have enough things going on, including the Bowmaster into Kaito off basics, to not be super worried. What would get me here is like a really fast threat. Wow. Uh, well, part of me likes just turning the corner. Part of me likes just putting them in the dirt right here. Yeah, this is a very greedy mana deck. I think keeping a 1-lander probably, like especially Cavernous Souls as your 1 land, probably could have justified going to 5. They probably have something like Dismember. Could this be like a Kozilek's command off of Simeon's Spirit Guides? Looks like it. Disruptor Flute. I'll Wasteland in response. What are the chances they name Brainstorm? Very low, right? Nevertheless, this is like my chance to cast Brainstorm. So I'll cast it. Like it's going to be several turns. Yeah, okay, Force of Will is great. Murktide. I'll just put back both Goyfs. I'll have to redraw one of them. They might have to name Wasteland here. Kaito. Okay. Force pitch Kaito. Alright, given that they're stumbling as hard as they are, I do think I like yet another Nethergoyf, and I prefer Nethergoyf to Bowmaster. So I think this game's wrapped up. Just the mana woes too much to overcome. And that's the strength of this tempo deck, is like, this is, you know, I was talking about in one of my earlier matches, like, you keep a greedy hand, you will get wrecked. Play the land now. I mean, if they dismember, it's fine. I have another one. I'll probably just play the Bowmaster as well, rather than doing like a Surveil. Yeah, they just scoop it up. GG. Yeah, I've certainly lost many games to tempo that way as well, where like, you know, at some point you have to keep the hands, and it just didn't really work out. And this deck is designed to punish that. So, hey, I'm 4-0. Maybe I can pick up a trophy here. That'd be really sweet. Right, I'm on the play in round 5. Sweet hand. I'm gonna keep this. Again, this is like that exact hand you picture when you realize you're playing against a tempo opponent. And I guess that's another reason to play this deck, is the consistency of it. So this looks like a good opportunity to just get basic island and drop the Tamiyo. Can flip it next turn. A lot of options. Opponent was F6. Okay, Planar Nexus. Well, this might just be an immediate wasteland. I don't know if I can let them have that. And I think I will brainstorm. Sad that I won't be shuffling, but it's totally fine. I'm just going to put back, I don't think I'll have to worry about the basics. Yeah, I'll just put back the dual land and redraw the basic. That's totally fine. All right, so I just have to hope that this Daze and this Wasteland gets me to Tamiyo Ultimate, and I think it will. Okay, Ancient Tomb. Chalice of the Void. Do I care? I think I care enough to Daze, yes. Okay. So this is almost certainly the Cloudpost deck. So would love to see a Force of Will here. I'm going to cast this Ponder. I don't think I really want those cards. Definitely didn't want that card. And I will plus just stay on that plan. After that Ponder was so bad, I do regret dazing the Chalice. But I think they'd have to have something pretty special here. Push, probably not really relevant. All right, that was great. That was fantastic. Just put some lands back. I guess before I make that decision, I should Thoughtseize. This game looks over here. If I take the One Ring, they do have blue mana. They could stock up if they play this as a land. I could take this and they wouldn't have blue mana. Force of Will the One Ring. I'll just take the One Ring. The other card that's supposed to be banned. So they would have to like play the Sink in a Stupor, stock up, but then they wouldn't have the mana to say Disruptor Flute or something like that. Now they could have drawn a Karn by playing Glimmer Post there, but then they don't have Force of Will, so I can force the Karn. Whatever, I guess this is a Kozilek's command. Yeah, it's just gonna be a Force of Will. And now I draw half my deck. Opponent fighting the good fight, I guess. -7. Okay. Well, plenty to do here. I could completely just Thoughtseize. I kind of like that. I kind of like just like Thoughtseize. That's like the most oppressive thing I can do. Yeah, they just scoop it up. What are you going to do at this point? I could go Thoughtseize, Wasteland. All right, well, this is the matchup that all these Consigned to Memories are for. Null Rod as well. And Force of Negation. Don't think anything else is really that good. Cards that I don't think are good are Fatal Push. That seems pretty bad. It could be the Tamiyos. They kind of just go super big over what Tamiyo does. I also think I want the Barrogoyfs because they are a Chalice deck, so I want to minimize my exposure to Chalice. Orcish Bowmasters isn't fantastic, though they are a one-ring deck. I think I'm going to take out 2 Ponders, 3 Tamiyo. Call it a day there. Really, I just have to keep their Haymakers off the board. And probably the big way to do that is to use Null Rod and disrupt their mana. I do think this blue Cloudpost deck is in contention for best deck in the format right now, since the One Ring wasn't banned. I wouldn't be surprised to see it do big things. It's a fairly new player in the metagame, so it hasn't really, like, there haven't been many opportunities for players to play it in, like, marquee tournaments. This is not great in the face of, like, a Chalice, but I will keep. The Wasteland's pretty good. Could be a Chalice here. Yeah, that's fine. I really hope this Wasteland just bricks them. Oh, Force of Negation. Just a little late. Still pretty good. Next turn I can Surveil. I can even be casting like one of these cantrips into, you know, um, the chalice. Glimmerpost was a pretty bad follow-up as a land, so I do think that Wasteland is going to prove to be pretty good for the time being. Didn't really want to see another land myself. I'm bidding just about anything here, yeah. Just gotta fill up this graveyard for Murktide. Okay, playing the tapped land. So they're super shy on mana. They could have a force, that would stink. Ooh, I like that. Alright, Null Rod's in there, and they were F6'd. Okay, so now I really just have to worry about card, probably. So that just alleviates so much pressure from this Force of Negation, and they're passing here. Goyf, not good. So now I can hardcast the Force. If it does make it to their end step without a play, I probably should just play the Brainstorm, because I need to get this Murktide down and I need to get this game over. So I will do exactly that and just Brainstorm right now into their Chalice. Yep. That's also good. So I'll again play another card into the Chalice. I will pass this one turn because I would like the Murktide to be a little bigger. And I still get to hold up hardcast Force of Negation. They probably think I'm a complete idiot, but there's a method to the madness. All right, well, that was a good land for them. Ooh, that's better than Murktide. And now I'm holding up double Force of Negation. All right. Can't fight that. Okay, I'm starting to have mana. Karn? Yeah, this is the one thing I was saying I had to worry about. Karn could have gotten Portable Hole and then cleared the Null Rod. That was a great draw. So now I pretty much have free license to drop this Murktide. And I guess I'll leave the Nethergoyf because that has text in the graveyard. Though I would have to clear the Chalice first, so really unlikely that that matters. I'm just happy to have a threat down, and hopefully this Force of Negation and Consign, which Consign is still good in the face of Chalice here. One ring. Yeah, that's fine. Ooh, another Murktide. Sadly pretty far away from casting this, but if I get to start using these Force of Negations, then I can, and that'll grow the first Murktide. So I am kind of worried with their mana now that they can do some pretty busted stuff, like Ugin, for instance. But I can double Consign, or like double Replicate. So this will be pretty sweet here. So I'm going to cast this, cast with Replicate on the Planeswalker, Replicate 3. This will get countered. Replicate resolves. Put this on this trigger. Put this as well. This one on the trigger. And then put this one on the Planeswalker. I'm not sure if this is clicking correctly. And it's being very laggy here, which is frustrating. I don't want to do same targets, but I think that was correct. I think maybe because of this consign, it ended up being kind of weird. Yeah, sweet. Awesome. All right, now I finally get to start hacking away at their life total. And I can even just cast this Kaido. No need to ninjutsu. That was a really great top deck. And then I can zero. Into the graveyard, I will draw Barrowgoyf. Okay, looking pretty sweet here. Another big bomb. If it's Ugin this time, let's see what they get rid of. Okay. I will Force of Negation the Ugin. So now I just have to believe in this Kaido. Another one ring. Yeah, that's good. That means my Kaito won't draw me a card. They have to be running out of Ugins though. Okay. I will drop the Goyf, and I should have a Surveil land, so I'm going to crack the Surveil land. No, I don't have a Surveil land, unfortunately. Okay. Well, I'm still going to minus here, and then put both of these into the graveyard. Or, not minus, but Surveil too. No attacks. It can F6. Tapping out here for a Kozilek's command for 9's pretty good. Really good. It's just infinite chump blockers forever. Pretty crazy. 4 cards to the top. Force of Will, pretty nice when it's hard castable. And I guess I just start chipping away at these blockers here. Gonna gain a lot of life. This one could go pretty long, so I need to be very fast in high play. Yeah, and actually I won't gain much life because they're gonna sack these guys. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, I still get to activate this, so I'll do that. Yeah, I like both of those. Yeah, those are cool. Well, they're casting something enormous here. Probably another command. Yeah, I'm gonna force that. MTGO being very laggy right now, which it's a pity I'm down on clock as we're doing this. I really hope that the clock isn't the issue. All right, so I draw that Brazen Borrower. It's going to be tempting this turn to just go ahead and activate it. Or cast it, both halves. Okay, so they're actually taking damage from the Kaido? Crazy. So they're going to let me surveil and draw a card here. Daze looks pretty embarrassing, but I will take Consign to Memory. That's a shocking non-block there. Another One Ring. I could Petty Theft that, but then they just play it out again. I think this is fine. It's just a fog. And I'm still getting to 0 the Kaito. I do like, however, investing in this right now. So I'll just Petty Theft. I'll cast Brazen Borrower. They're not going to be able to block that. Force of Will, amazing. So I just get to Surveil 2. That to the bottom, that to the top. So now I definitely have a clock, and the Brazen Borrower unblockable will mean that I can continue to 0 the Kaito profitably. So really all I have to do is keep, like, I don't even care about the Chalice. It can come back down. Thunder Trap Trainer, cast with 4. I can just force this. And if that means I'm tapped out for what's it called? Chalice of the Void, that's fine. That's what I just said. I don't care about the Chalice. Yep, Chalice on 1. Another Thunder Trap. That's fine. I'll F6. It's pretty good for them. They get 2 more cards. Dismember. It's actually pretty annoying. They could dismember the Brazen Borrower right now. Yep. So I'm slowly working my way through these spawn tokens, though. I would love Orcish Bowmasters. That would be nice. I think I'm drawing Force of Will, though. And Force of Will on Lorien revealed is perfect. Okay. Thankfully, my opponent is now behind on the clock. I'd like to do what I can to keep it that way. Surveilling, not helping to keep it that way. Don't need more lands. 5 lands is perfect. And as long as what they drew for turn isn't an absolute bomb, I'll be alright. Okay. Yep, gonna force this. And they appear to be passing. They might want to swing at the Kaito, but no. Alright, once the blockers are cleared, I'm gonna feel really good about this situation. Rainstorm is a dead draw. Okay. Wow. I have worked my way now nearly through the x equals 9 freaking Kozilek's command. What a card. It'd be nice if they got like one bird encounter on the ring before I null rodded it, but that null rod came down like turn 2. Alright, this looks like some busted shit that Consigned to Memory is going to have to handle. Thunder Trap. Yep. So what I'll do is consign the Offspring. Just tap this all. Cast with Replicate. Consign Offspring. Replicate trigger. So let's go this one on there. This one on there. I still don't really know if it's clicking correctly. The lag is super frustrating. This is my lead on the clock eroding because of the lag. This one here. Okay, hopefully I did that right. And it looks like I didn't do it right, so that's very frustrating. Just a misclick. And a One Ring, sure. F6. So this time, I have that another Brazen Borrower. So I can, I wonder what this card is that's been stuck in their hand forever. Maybe like a Dismember. So I can Petty Theft the Chalice, actually cast the Brainstorm. Bowmaster seems really good. I can 0. I actually could have thought seized away the Chalice. Put that on the bottom. I will keep the redundant Null Rod. And then I will Bowmaster now so I can kill this stupid Thunder Trap. And now even if they do manage to cobble together like a Karn for what do you call it? Karn for Portable Hole. I have another one coming. So I can F6 through this turn. Save some time. Okay, another Planar Nexus. Not a good top deck if that's what they drew. Chalice on 3. Okay. Yeah, that'll keep me off Brazen Borrower. So here, I think I am swinging out. I'll hold back the Bowmaster. I think they're liable to block here and block here. Take the damage from Kaito. I get to 0 the Kaito. Okay, so they're just going to take 1, save them some life. Yeah. Don't think I really want either of these. Maybe Brainstorm, yeah. Because now I can cast Brainstorm. Yeah, I think rather than redundant Null Rod, I think Force Blue seems pretty good. Doesn't really matter. I can have both these cards in my hand next turn. All right, I'm starting to feel pretty good about this again. I think Chalice on 3 was a mistake. Well, my opponent is tapping quite a lot of mana here. Command for 7 is gonna be a no. Okay, I have lethal on board. Has it been a Force of Will this whole time you've been saving? Well, that's annoying. I get to ping them for 1. Thankfully, they've now fallen quite behind on the clock. So if this does happen to go to a game 3, then I should be in good shape to at least have that as a little advantage. Okay, Bowmaster trigger is going to go after one of these guys, not going to go to face. So they did scry 3 cards to the top. And why would you scry a land to the top? I mean, what amazing, like, just have all the mana in the world, I feel. Well, now I kind of regret my choice of that Brainstorm. I was pretty confident they were all going to be in my hand. So shame on me. But I'm going to get rid of 4 of their lands here. Or 4 of these little creatures. So next turn, again, got a big lethal attack. They're only drawing 1 card, so even if they went like Karn into Lattice, which is like, I think objectively the absolute most powerful thing they'd be capable of, that wouldn't work too well for them. That'd be pretty good. Because they would still have 2 blockers. It would depend on the top of the deck. But with Null Rod, actually, yeah, they can't Karn into Lies, because they would just be locked out of the game with Null Rod. We would all be locked out of the game, and I would have attackers on board, and they would have nothing. So, is this like another command? It'd be an Ugin. There's Karn. Bridge? Bridge would be good. But it's kind of on them at this point to do something. Walking Ballista. But they can't activate it. So they're going to have a 4/4 Ballista. Maybe a 5/5 if they sack these tokens. Okay, they are sacking the tokens. So you have a 7/7 that you can't activate. So I think this turn I just swing. I mean, I could like. So they block here, they block here, they take 3, 4, 5, 6. I could put them to 1. Probably not good enough. So I think I'm just going to hold back the Kaito. I will let them block. I don't think this Karn can get anything relevant. I'm gonna send everything at their face. If they block Kaito and like they can't block Kaito because they'd be dead, right? 5, 6, 7, 8. This is Xaxes, right? They can't block this way. They have to block the Goyfs, and then they take. Are they planning to activate the Ballista? Time is eroding for them too. There's just like no chance here. Like maybe they're planning on getting a portable hole next turn, but that's just not going to work. Okay, so they go to 2. I'm going to surveil 2. Would love to see Force of Negation. Bowmaster, not the worst. I'll keep a Bowmaster. I'll play out the other Null Rod. Sadly, this has 5 points of damage. But I'm going to keep this as my secret little Bowmaster here. If they try to Kozilek's command and scry, then they're dead. If this goes to game 3, they can't win. So I know I'm celebrating a little prematurely here. Okay. Plussing on the 1 range, sure. But you're going to need another blocker. I mean, that's not the worst line. Maybe they do have like a dismember or a removal spell in hand. And because they need to show me that removal spell, I don't think I need to play this Bowmaster right now. All right, sweet. They just scoop it up. Yeah, maybe they didn't think about the Kaito. Man, sweet. So this is my first trophy with Dimir Tempo. I think it's a really sweet deck. It's definitely very different to what you're used to seeing me play. It's very different from what I'm used to playing. I really like decks that are like creature combo decks. I really like green mana. You know, I like artifacts a lot. I like combos, but combos that are like kind of fair at the same time. And this is just pure classical fair magic. If you can call Tamiyo and Orcish Bowmasters and Days in Wasteland fair. But, you know, especially in this meta that's like very wide open right now and where the decks are not super optimized, I think playing a list that is really tight, really optimized, and that I personally feel like I can play tightly, it feels like a good place to be. However, for the channel, for the purposes of this channel, I definitely want to showcase a lot of things that I'm thinking about right now. But eventually, you know, I'm the type of player who zeroes in on a single deck, and I have to imagine that that will happen for me at some point. Dimir Tempo is a little bit of a boring deck for content purposes, but it's pretty sweet too. I hope y'all enjoyed watching that. Just to show the deck one more time. So the deck feels really balanced. I didn't see a lot of lists that had 4 Thoughtseize, but Thoughtseize is just like one of the very best Magic cards that there is. And especially with like a lot of like fast combo re-emerging that was maybe pushed out by really tight combo decks that played an excellent fair game, like Breakfast, like um, Dimir Reanimator. I feel like Thoughtseize feels pretty good right now to keep those sorts of decks in check. Actually, Fatal Push as a 4 felt not amazing, but in a meta that runs a lot of Tamiyo, like that probably evens out over the course of many, many matches to be pretty good. Kaito, super sweet card. One of the coolest cards in the deck for sure. And so I was happy to get to play that. Well, it's very different from Cephalid Breakfast. In fact, it's, in my opinion, one of the arch enemies of Cephalid Breakfast. I feel a little dirty playing this, but this was a super fun league. Thanks for watching.